Hey guys, just back in from a day on the driving lessons, and my last pupil now, I've just had a really good chat with her on why she's feeling so nervous about her driving lessons. When she gets in the car, she's fine, but the 3 days leading up to the driving lesson are absolutely terrible for her. She is so nervous and so anxious, and I think we all know exactly what's happening. Guys, I'm going to go make a cup of coffee now because I've been out all day, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about how we sorted exactly what's happening on Letty's chimp. That's better. So Letty revealed to me that she was dreading each driving lesson on the days leading up to it. But once she got in the car, she was fine. I immediately knew that it was her chimp part of her brain providing these thoughts and feelings. If you are unfamiliar with what the chimp part of the brain is, then click on the card up there and you'll go to one of my other videos which will explain exactly what it is. So I knew I had to find out what had installed onto Letty's computer that driving lessons were stressful. So each time this started to approach and the chimp got the information into her mind that a driving lesson was approaching, and when it looked into the computer to see if this was safe, it was seeing something in there that was telling her that it wasn't safe at all and she shouldn't continue. So just a quick check here to ensure you understand exactly what is happening. Letty's chimp is looking into her computer and seeing information installed in there by her chimp with emotion that driving lessons are stressful. It is then going to do exactly what it's designed to do, and that's to give her black and white negative catastrophic thoughts to try to stop her entering this situation which it perceives as dangerous. Now please bear in mind this lady is coming under what I term, and Stephen, these chimp handlers, would term as severe chimp hijacks. The chimp is providing huge emotional black and white thoughts to stop her going into the situation, but yet she is still turning up. And there's a reason for that, and I'll reveal it a bit later. Now, it didn't take me long to find the root cause. As soon as I asked Letty the question, tell me how your previous driving lessons went, please, Letty? Her answer was terrible. He was loud, aggressive, and sometimes swore at me. This was exactly how her chimp had installed onto her computer that driving lessons were stressful. Now please bear in mind that the chimp is 5 times more powerful than the human part of the brain. So once it looks into the computer and sees that the upcoming situation is going to be stressful, all the blood starts to flow to the chimp, and it will soon overcome the human part of the brain, and it won't even get a look in. And that's exactly what was happening to Letty on the build up to these lessons. So let me show you how I intend to solve this problem for Letty and reveal the real reason why she is still turning up for these driving lessons, even though she's receiving very strong emotional messages from her chimp trying to get her not to carry on. So what have I got planned for Letty? Well, when we're dealing with severe chimp hijacks such as she's encountering, then we need to put what Steve would class as an autopilot in place to counteract the strong emotional control of the chimp. And the best one I can think of is the method that Steve suggests in the book for dealing with stressful situations, and it's called, well, I call it, and I think he calls it the same thing, is the helicopter method. I know it sounds a bit weird, but bear with me guys, just take a look at this. So here we have what Steve classes as an auto blueprint for dealing with instant stress, which is pretty much what Letty's getting as soon as she starts thinking about the driving lessons. There's 7 steps there to go through, and you recognize it, you hit the pause button, you escape, the helicopter and get in perspective, the plan, reflection and activation. It sounds a lot, but it isn't really. So that's the plan I've got to work through Letty. I've sent her pictures of these pages to go through for the homework, but I'll just go through it in a bit more detail now in the hope that it may help somebody, because that's what these videos are all about. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this so far, please give me a subscribe, give me a like, give me a comment. If you know anybody who thinks that this could help people with a chimp in the mind, I'd be only too pleased to help. I've actually helped people over Zoom, not just in person. So if you give me a like, give me a click, anything guys, or boop that like button, I'd be much appreciated, and it'll help my video get out to other people. So step 1 is all about recognition and change. It's recognizing when the chimp is about to start to take you over. Now, we already know that Letties described this as about 3 days before the driving lesson. So when she feels the emotional thoughts starting to come, I've told her to say change. This word change will then trigger something off in Letty's computer, which will help us gain a little bit of control over the chimp. Then we are going to go into stage 2, which is where we hit the pause button. I've told her to imagine a big red pause button in her head and just hit the pause button and stop the thoughts. Let's get the blood flow under control and stop it going to the chimp. Because if we don't, and it keeps flowing there, we've already discussed the chimp part of the brain is much stronger than the human, and this will just continue to flow and take over her human thoughts, and that's what's exactly happening. So she's going to think change, she's going to hit the big red stop button in her head. And then step 3 is escape. Now this could be a tricky little bit for Letty because she's not actually in the situation. So she can't remove herself from the situation because she's not actually in, well, she is, I suppose, really, because she is thinking about the driving lesson. So she needs to distract herself. And now, one thing she has said she's been doing on the last few times is on the mornings of the driving, she's been going onto a treadmill to try to distract herself from the impending driving lesson, the thoughts of the impending driving lesson. So maybe that's what a way we could take that. So her escape could be going onto the treadmill and just distracting the thoughts away from the chimp, stopping the blood flowing to the chimp. Step 4 is what we call the helicopter method. I've already told Letty this about the helicopter, to imagine yourself getting into a helicopter and flying up above the situation. So she's got to imagine herself up above her house and maybe my car parked outside, and then look at it in a overall perspective of how important it is that she learns to drive, and the driving lessons are not going to be stressful. It's an insignificant part of her whole week, really, when you consider her job as a nurse and dealing with patients and things like that every day. Just this 1 hour driving lesson a week is quite insignificant, but we need to get her to leave the situation, go up above it and get perspective of it, and thinking of yourself in a helicopter is an effective way of doing this. But as we know, every helicopter has to come back down to earth. So stage 5 is that when we come back down, we need a plan. And now Letty's been encouraged to plan ahead. She can text me if she wants to. She can call me if she needs to, just to sort of plan what stress is going up towards the driving lesson. And I think if we get a structured plan in place where she is able to control this, it may take a few attempts, but she needs some sort of plan that when she gets perspective on it, she comes back down, and maybe that she could think that I do enjoy my driving lessons, or she, as I say, text me or message me, some way that we'll figure that out as we go towards the goal. Step 6 is reflection and activation. So what she's going to be doing now is reflecting on the chimp attack that just took place when she was hijacked by the blood flow into a chimp, and then try and plan forward so that doesn't happen again. She needs a plan where she can actually, when she's implemented that plan, she can sit back and reflect on how it's worked and then modify it each time. It's not going to be an instant thing. It's not a switch that you can just switch off and the chimp stops blood flowing to the brain, because this has been installed on her computer and it can take a little bit of shifting sometimes. So this is what we're doing. We're creating this autopilot which she can then shift off the reaction on her computer over to managing it better. But she must always remember in this activation, is it better to be in the human part of the brain or in the chimp? And I think as she starts to see that it's much better to think in facts and figures in the human part of the brain, rather than letting this primitive beast of a part of her brain take her over, then I think she'll start to realise it's better to be in the human, work with facts and figures. Maybe a few weeks, months, maybe she will come over it. And step 7 is the final one, smile. Because one of the easiest ways of getting control on the chimp is to actually laugh at yourself when you're acting like a chimp. I've done that with my daughter many times, and we've called her chimp Dorothy, and when it takes her over, we've had so many laughs over Dorothy. I've asked Letty to name a chimp. She found that a bit strange because I really did pile a lot of information about the chimp paradox mind model
into that small section of the driving lesson. But I really hope that when I go back for her next week, I'll maybe let you know that she has named her chimp. My chimp is Clyde, and it's given me a real different aspect on life when I can actually associate that my chimp acts differently to me, and I can control him and manage him. Guys, so the reason why, the thing that I was going to reveal, why is Letty still coming back for these driving lessons when she's suffering with these great emotional hijacks from her chimp? Now the reason is, the human is ×2 speed. The chimp is ×5. But the computer runs at ×20. And when the computer is programmed right, it will prevent the chimp from moving in its tracks, and it'll also shut the human off, and you can actually lead your life on the computer. Now, installed on Letty's computer is that she wants to take her children in the car. That is what's happening. That is why she's coming back, because she has installed that into her computer. And ironically, when we turned up after that lesson, her daughter was in the bedroom window looking out. And that is the reason why she's coming back for the driving lessons. Even though a very powerful part of her mind is trying to take her over, she has a value on her computer that she wants to learn to drive to make a better life for her children. And that is the reason why she's actually turning up, despite her chimp's best efforts. If this story of Letty's chimp has intrigued you, then please take a look at my other videos. There's a series there which I go through in detail of each stage of the chimp paradox, and I'm sure you will gain greater insights into often why you're behaving like you are, and hopefully get a little bit more control in your mind and have a better, successful and more happy life. Thank you.